here for anybody, whether once the supports get involved.
It looked like Scary was considering some buff invades, ends up giving up on those though once he sees the presence from Cubo Fred, but now Neomar, the target, he's still only level 4, so transformation from Aurora, he leaps in, the stun's there, and Neomar low, in comes Vote, but first blood already goes to the Titans thanks to Scary D, and they're not done yet. There's a little bit of a disengage from the squad, but Nika continues in with that piercing moonlight, but interrupted by Benji, and a miscalculation as Scary gets a double. The Titans eventually force a fight in the jungle and come out way ahead.
I mean, just great play from them to be able to get aggressive. I actually think, and more important than anything, 2 kills for Scary.
And Scary D kind of sticking to his own side of the jungle, but they know blue buff about to spawn. Maybe they want to be here for it, but the Warriors already in position to defend, so they likely won't be able to.
Well, they're going to be able to get aggressive here. I don't know if you want to invest everything into Neil, but they're going to be able to.
Oh no, Neomar and Cubo Fred couldn't have been on the same page. Neil was in position to defend, but Cubo Fred said, no, I don't want anything to do with that in my wildest dreams, my man. I don't want it. And I think Cubo was right. They were getting used here as well, and that doesn't quite lock them down. But maybe that still opens up an avenue here as Cyclone Spin starts up this Fury transformation from Aurora. But in come the Warriors to try and contest. The Fury now low. Aurora leaps in, and Neomar low, so he keeps him zoned. But Cubo Fred drops the ult to Aurora, but it's Scary who dives in and deletes Neil in an instant. But Scary low himself, forced to use Bat out of Hell to retreat, and the Fury has been reset. So Neomar's life at this point has been sacrificed, but worth it because it keeps that Fury standing. And but none of that happens in time. The Pyromancer goes to the Titans. Meanwhile, Cyclone Spin looking for a Vote over in left. Neither ADC is in this battle, but Vote could join at any time if he so chose. And Cyclone Spin tried to keep him locked down in left as Cubo Fred now has Aurora stuck, but a portal proving Giannis' strength allows Aurora to retreat. Meanwhile, Cyclone Spin continues. His best way to help his team at this point is to keep Vote here and continue this pressure. But I don't know if they're just Vote's just gonna let him back, not in his face like this. Disengage from the Warriors that the Titans are happy to see. They'll come back to the Fury, and they've got it low already with Coerce, with Fafnir backing him up, and the Titans take the Oni Fury away from the Warriors and send the Titans running on the back of some good fight from the Warriors. But maybe now they have a chance to lock down Aurora, dropping the ultimate from Cubo. I'm a monster too, and support traded for Oni Fury.
Yeah, I mean, support for Oni Fury, that's worthwhile, but support plus Oni Fury, or you get Oni Fury and 4 ultimates on the other side, right? I think Aurora is just fine taking that loss, but they do need to be a little more present over here on the right side of the map. It's going to be Pyromancer respawning. I can't believe this, no. They're going to start up the Fire Giant. Kukulkan's here. I mean, even with Aurora missing, this seems dangerous to try and go for.
This is risky, and it's Benji's job to get in there, but the Warriors clear the objective, but they lose Neomar right off the bat. Nika might be the next target. He's got beads, though, and he will retreat through space and time. Connects. That brings Nika down lower, but even still, hard to take him. But Dardes ends up isolated. Cyclone Spin goes for the ult. Can't connect, but they've got Dardes locked down all the same, and he can't make it through the portal. A kill for Cyclone Spin to give him 2. And that means the Warriors only have Fire Giant remaining on Nika, Cubo, and Vote. The Titans want to use this opportunity to burn down a tier 2 in right.
Keep losing a little bit more. I think Vote having it's going to be a big play, but they have to win another clean fight or get the Tartarus Titans on the back foot, like when they're really kind of awkwardly going back to base, maybe find a single pick. Either way, it's got to find an opening here.
A fight on 2 fronts. Scary D being dove by the Warriors, and they have him. Meanwhile, Aurora looking for a dive on his own. He retreats back and helps delete Cubo Fred because Cyclone Spin is swinging 3 big crits in a row. And Cubo Fred, a distant memory forced into the afterlife. So bloodshed on both sides. And really, Gore, I think the best thing the Warriors did,
the way these fights have kind of lagged on a little bit longer, it might not be enough for the Warriors to get a good enough grip on the game. Whereas 1 win for the Titans, there's 2 Phoenixes exposed. They can already knock it down.
And Neil and Aurora both already taking damage. Vote not here yet, but he can always join with the ult. But Neomar being removed too quickly. Aurora will get the kill credit for it, and the Titans find a huge pick at the start of this engagement. Though Cyclone Spin low, in comes Vote to try and provide some backup, and he's losing the duel with Benji, forced to back. No chance he is going to win that one, though. Paul gets in close. Unstable Vortex should be enough for the kill, but Blink from Cubo too good. Maybe weaving in an auto there, but he would have been slowed by it. Meanwhile, Nika going to commit on to Scary D. He has gotten in there, but I don't think he expected Cyclone Spin to be right there and ready for the damage with the ultimate from Cyclone Spin off the mark. Meanwhile, Paul is low on the front side of this fight, forced to retreat himself as Vote, right in the thick of things, tries to stay tall up against Benji, but cannot do it and forced to retreat.
Now, I'm going to give him credit because I know we've seen at least one hit, and I'm sure there's been a few others, but Cyclone has not necessarily been mastering these ults. So far, it doesn't matter. The crit, the damage is just so good. Tartarus is almost dead.
And yeah, should have a potential, but he steps up with Tartarus, finds the crush, and Cyclone Spin finds a coffin. So Benji trying to close the gap. Can't be done by Scary either, up and bat out of hell. And that might have just kept the Warriors in this fight. Cyclone Spin's DPS was huge for it, so Cubo Fred steps up, sees a chance to get Scary, who leaps over the wall, but Cubo Fred is there and waiting. And the wall from Neoma is a death sentence. The Warriors with the kill on the Cyclone, the kill onto Scary, have put themselves right back into this late game FG discussion.
What a well-placed wall by Neil. I mean, you can't write it better than that. Grouped up, and right now, I mean, I see 3 members kind of split apart over here on left, 2 members backing on right. The Titans need to collapse quickly.
The Warriors are all the way in. Cubo Fred got the tier 2 in mid. The left side, Phoenix being shredded, so Scary and Benji have engaged. Knock up big and gets the beats out from Vote, and Paul buries Vote with a through space in time that completely flattens him. And they catch Neoma. Shard device comes out, but Cyclone Spin will not be denied. Cubo Fred, kind of all on his own, pushes up that wave, but that's about all he can do. He, Nika, and Dardes are just going to have to fall back and play some defense now, but they still got
that the Titans aren't going to be able to just run in and 3v5 this without taking a lot of damage to their Titan in the process. Although, the way things are going, slow fire minions there on left and a cleared up wave there by Scary.
Man.
If they push this hard, they could try to get something out of it. I don't know if it's a win state, but it could be a couple kills.
Aurora was on Dardes, but Cyclone Spin just falls to the dive from Cubo Fred and Nika. I'm a Monster does not connect, but Aurora and Benji have bitten off way more than they expected to chew. Here at this point, the stun not going to be enough to lock down Aurora there. Looks
tension. Oh, hey, you take a little bit too much poke, got to go back to the fountain. Well, now it's a 2v5. You have to be very careful with this engage. With the minions coming in, Finch, this feels like it could be the beginning of the end.
Looks like it could be for them. Cubo Fred taking quite a bit of damage up against Aurora, but Scary D forced to retreat. And right side Phoenix about to be under siege. It just respawned. Aurora jumps in at low HP and falls to Vote. So one more pick goes their way, but Cyclone Spin is back. But he will not have a front line when he spawns. Benji removed by Nika, but Paul takes care of Cubo Fred with another through space in time. The right side Phoenix removed, and it looks like Cyclone Spin would love a chance to get in here and fight. But the Warriors are not going to give him that opportunity. They get all 3 Phoenixes done on the Neo land. Sunder as well. A wall buys time, and through space and time does clip Vote. Good defense from the Titans has already pushed the Warriors back, but in comes Nika and Cubo Fred, and they like their odds re-engaging. They got to be careful. They're a little bit ahead of the rest of the team. I'm a Monster, but Scary D gets up into the air first and does not get hit by it, but Aurora seems to have been left behind. He got his team out, did his job, but pays the price with his life. So they'll send Nika over to push mid alone. The other 4 will take the left side Phoenix. It's done just that quickly. Now the Titans have to defend 4
defense, at least a kill.
But the pressure is on them, as you said, to be the ones that follow through. So 30 seconds before Aurora can rejoin his teammates is Benji just barely able to retreat. Good wall keeps Neoma from taking too much damage, and they're having trouble moving in. I'm a Monster though, connects. Cyclone Spin low, does make it back to the fountain. Maybe that's enough of a window for the Warriors to step in. Cubo Fred looks for Scary, can't get it because Cyclone Spin moves in, but the Titan is low. Shard device is on it, and the Warriors get it done at the last minute. They never have the kill lead, but they do get the win.
I mean, there's Scream someone and a team that wants to get it going pretty quickly. Like, Aurora's going to be able to get aggressive over here on this Ymir pretty early on compared to what Fafnir's able to bring. Raven, we were kind of talking about and praising earlier on.
Oh, no.
Neil definitely not in a good spot.
Oh no. Oh no, it's first blood for Cyclone Spin as Neil missed the leap. And that's kind of all she wrote, really, Gore. I mean, I'd love you to break it down, but I mean, I think he missed the leap.
Yeah, he jumped wrong, and then that's going to be some free kills over there. Pretty much sets the duo lane up for some success. Feels pretty good over there, and Aggro had kind of highlighted all of the weak links that have really, well, made this Fenrir a questionable pick of all things. I was actually wondering if it was so questionable as a support that they were going to maybe move it somewhere else. But right between the two of them, like, that is pretty much the worst case scenario for you, right? You go in for that jump, You miss the stun not only on Ymir or on her, right? But you miss it on
aggression. Now Scary D looking for Cuvo, who has the dash, repositions. It means maybe they can get this ultimate out from Nika, but no, Scary D has to retreat. Now Benji in an awful position. Beads come out from him, and he is left to the wolves.
Well, the boulder's going to come through to try and give him a little bit of that immunity, some damage to turn it around. He's still alive, Benji, running away. And this is something the Titans did last game, maybe not to the same extent. I mean, that was really clean from them. But I think there's a couple of moral lessons in there. One is like there was a small window there where if Aurora turns around and hits a freeze, 3 people on the Warriors are set up to potentially get taken down there. I think it was still on cooldown from a missed freeze slightly prior to that.
Scary D makes sure the portal, no! Paul with no portal. He just walks past Dardes, but Dardes will get that kill. Scary D leaving his mid laner out to die a bit. Paul even having to use beads in that trade, so now suddenly Neil Ma has a great target to go for, which is Paul, who he can...
It just kind of feels like it's going to be waiting until some team can really run a lead onto this Fury before something else steps out, or maybe a good gank onto a Hercules. The blue buff is up, but Neil's over here. They might be trying to get rid of Benji.
Looks like that's the call, bringing him towards Nika, and Benji taking too much damage right away. Driving strike buys some time, but no chance he escapes in that situation. A nice kill there for the Warriors. So Cyclone Spin wants to get aggressive, but just nothing there, and that turns into
a big part of the team and a big kind of impact player for them.
Was this a gank?
Or is he going to fall off? I mean, he's got the Thieves going in for
Cyclone
Cyclone.
Spin jumps forward, drops the Desert Fury, gets the Aegis out from Vode, yes, but Cyclone Spin now in a tough spot. Good Aegis, gets him away from Airstrike and the brutalized damage, and now he stands tall. Better Relic usage, keeps Cyclone Spin in it. Unstable Vortex cannot connect. Aurora wants to lock Neil off, wants his ADC to get his money's worth out of this, but it was too greedy. Aurora comes over and turns a great survival from Cyclone Spin into a 1-for-0 trade in favor of the Warriors.
Yeah, I think unfortunate for him. I do think, again, Tunnel Vision comes in, and you do want those
down for the Titans alongside their Blink from Benji, but they get the Blink and the ult out from Nika. Neo Ma's ultimate's down as well. So kind of a good amount used on both sides, but seemed initially like the Titans were setting themselves up for a good fight as Cubo Fred drops the ultimate on Aurora, and Neo Ma keeps up with the brutalize, and now Aurora has nowhere to go. Would have been too slow anyway, and a huge kill for the Warriors.
And now Cubo feels like he's in an awkward position. Neil gets another stun, though, and that's going to be the power of this Fenrir. If your beads are down, he's going to find you.
Cubo Fred turns that into a double kill. Even when it looks like the Tartarus Titans are doing good setup for themselves, it turns into good for the Warriors as Benji just walks on in, doesn't hard commit though, comes back out.
At one point, and now all I can think is that we need a Tartarus Titan kilt on our store. You know, Insight, I don't know if you make kilts, man, but if you ever do, there's your idea for
we'll
it.
Take it.
The Titans are going to be able to pick this up. See, here's the thing, Cyclone Spin, again, with these beats, Neil is finding himself in a precarious spot. It's just the question of what he can pull out for it, right? Look at how much they use to lock him down, and I think that opens up an opportunity for the Warriors outside of just the fact that now maybe they're missing technically a stunned
engagement from Neil. They should be able to start up this Fury with a pretty nice advantage.
They're happily going to be able to follow your advice there, but this is where things get awkward. I think the re-engage, I mean, Neil's still going to be able to bring a stun. They get the Fury. Can they get out alive?
No, now they're bringing Neil Ma to his death, and he's done. No ultimates and nothing else to help him escape. Even used Frenzy and Sunder, it would seem. Well, that didn't get a whole lot of value. Blink from Cubo Fred down, but aside from that, the Titans seem to be in a pretty good shape and to stay back. But, of course, the Titans won't make it that easy. It is the Fire Giant they start up. 21.5 minutes into the Warriors nearby and ready to defend. Aurora steps forward to be the zoning tool, but the Titans drop the objective and come for the fight instead. But the front line looking to retreat. Aurora too low and too far from backup, but Cyclone Spin leaps in and looks for a kill, and the Cubo Fred can't quite find it, and they lost their support in Aurora way in the backline. Nika's clone goes to the Shadow Rain, but that's all, as out comes the I'm a Monster, does not connect. Aegis from Cyclone Spin keeps him in it, and in the end, just ends up being a 1-for-0 in favor of the Warriors. They take care of Aurora.
Cyclone Spin's getting a lot done in these fights, though. His player damage, honestly, it's a lot lower than I expected it to be. He's number 4 on the charts, but the way he's been hitting these shots onto Vote and Dardes, thought it was going to be a lit-little bit more. No Scary caught back and under the tower. Neil's got one more. He's going to be able to find that. So, ultimately, you extend that fight 2-for-0 in favor of the Warriors. Although maybe it's going to be a 2-for-1 really quick as Neil tries to run away. I just think that Dardes, and specifically Vote here, have been in trouble more often than not from Cyclone. And it looks like the Warriors, I thought this was going to be an easy kill, but Neil almost gets out.
Finally does fall when Paul's able to get off an unstable vortex. Looks like the cooldowns weren't there really for the Warriors from the beginning. Nika took a while to try and get in Paul's face. Some damage just gets put down on Neil, and eventually it's too long and too late before anything can really be done to keep later on in the game. No need to rush it, I wouldn't say, from these squads. I mean, it is a lot of the PK team that was one of our most patient squads on both sides here, right? You got Cubo and Neil on one, Scary and Paul on the other as Neil jumps in. I'm a Monster comes out from Dardes, free hand, and it connects onto Aurora, who's low. Benji comes down to half as well as Nika tries to keep up the pressure. Meanwhile, Scary D a bit isolated in the back of the fight. It's Neomon Cubo on him. Dardes gets rid of Aurora, but through space and time gets Vote and Dardes low. A big play from Paul, but Cubo Fred does find a kill in the Cyclone spin over on the other side of the fight as well. 2 for 2, supporting ADC for the entire backline of the Warriors, and that's why the Titans are getting aggressive. They like their chances here, but Nika proves too strong as they take that portal away. Benji cannot escape. He falls. Paul, the only one still standing.
You lose both your carries, though, and isn't that just the worst for the Warriors? They do not have enough after that fight.
More than that soon.
This is a good zone already. Scary D, Benji making sure that there's some space created. Cyclone does a lot of damage. This is going to be difficult to get into, but they still have better secure here for the Warriors.
And Neil kind of bullying
Frenzy.
Benji. There's that Frenzy pop that you said was the go button, and Dardes finds I'm a Monster onto Aurora. That will remove him now. Cubo Fred sticking to Cyclone spin and winning the duel, getting rid of the ADC on the other side. Maybe EFG is for the birds because the Votes and the Oni Warriors like to take the fights instead. Benji juking out the Tiger Stun, but coming back into the fray anyway, all the same. Unstable Vortex does get Nika low. It looks like the Warriors are done chasing. They'll take their 2 for 0 and come back to the objective, but Paul back out to contest once more.
Yeah, Scary still has full health, not quite full mana, and only has his beads in terms of engage, no ultimate. So there's not really a lot for him to get into the fight, but he's deep in the back line. I mean, this could loop around. He might be able to find Dardes, but it's not going to be before the FG goes down. This might be too dangerous for them.
Paul blows up Cubo Fred. You were just talking about how he hadn't died yet, but finally Paul able to get to him and removes EFG from him as well. Not bad from Paul, since they have to give up the EFG. So Benji goes to the portal, takes a bunch of damage from Crush. A miscalculation from the solo laner for the Titans, just when it looked like they'd been given a gift. Paul. They take one back, then Nika dies to Paul, who's keeping them in this late game single-handedly right now. Paul has stripped away 2 EFGs from the Oni Warriors, who thought they'd made a breakthrough, but instead now must find a way to retreat.
I mean, right now, this Yanis is, like you said, saving them the game. It was definitely teetering on the edge there. Good freeze from Aurora. And with this amount of slowdown, this amount of lockdown, now a Scary D jumping in the back line. He's taking way more damage than he bargained for. I don't know if that's where he wanted to end up. Definitely felt like another fight for the Titans, but now it's kind of falling apart here. Once again, they're on the back foot. In fact, Aurora, I don't know if you're that safe.
No, he's the current nature of this game. Very close still, 36 minutes in.
Definitely a lot more tantalizing than their first game. I think the Warriors are just playing a little cleaner. I mean, all around, it was much better. And Paul, I mean, has just been a thorn in their side to the point where I don't think they quite knew what hit him. Look, Cubo, that's what, slightly over half, let's say 52% of his health. That is not enough that you should feel confident, apparently. Holy moly, fans of the game. But it's moments like this, right? Nika and Neil looking for fights, but what can they really get out of it? Are they going to be able to pull anybody in? That's the big question.
Let's see, Neomon goes to Cyclone spin, but Cyclone responds with that Desert Fury. Neomon picked up and plucked and pushed back in, and now the damage raining in onto the defending World's MVP. He will fall, the Cyclone spin, and just like that, we find ourselves with the Oni Warriors getting next to nothing off of that EFG after all of this.
On basic attacks is helping Vote out in a lot of these scenarios. I expect to see that play a big role against someone like Aurora.
Benji's on Vote. Aurora was just pulled in by Neil Ma on the wall. While it does isolate Neil, seems not to result in much. Neil leaps in, pops the Frenzy, and does manage to hit a couple, but Paul brings Dardes solo right away, and Scary D capitalizes through space and time. Unstable Vortex has removed Dardes, while he still had his I'm a Monster up, but Scary D is low, and Nika gets there with the Tiger stun. That means jungle for mid is the current way this battle has gone. But the Warriors have to be careful. As long as Paul is still up, then there is still an assassin cloaked on the member of the Tartarus. Titans freeze, lands on the Cubo Fred, but they turn around. Benji the target. Neomon gets pushed in, and Paul responsible for another death in this game. Yet another bounty claimed. As Cyclone Spin gets a big crit on the vote. The Titans now in a great position. But we'll see what they can accomplish on the back of it as Nika uses the beads to avoid the freeze.
And as of right now, he's going to be the one standing guard between the Titans and what feels like their success. The longer it takes to kill off Nika, the better it is for the Warriors. But unfortunately for them, it's not going to be the end-all be-all. Cuvo backs to base. So at the end of the day, it's a wash. Not using this opportunity. Well, I guess, look, they've got 40 seconds. What am I
locked in? Dardash drops the ult onto Aurora as well. Cubo Fred has to give up beads as Benji comes in for the pull push. Crush used to keep the Titans at bay as Vote has to give up his beads. Great work by the Titans on the back of this EFG call to really make good work here of the Warriors. Able Cyclone Spin to get rid of Neil. Vote goes down 2, and at this point the Titans in a pretty confident position to close this game out. It's just Nika, Cubo, and Dardes who have the ability to keep this game going. The Titan already down to half. They're going to need some kind of miracle coming from this backline damage to keep it going, but Dardes removed right away. No miracles happening today. It's the Titans in 48 minutes who take the game, and we're going into a game 3.
Things like that, like I would have been going very, very deep into history, but I think like you say, especially with Cuvo's blink, but with Nika when he starts rotating over as well as Neil with those blink plucks, there's so much engage on the side of the Warriors this time around, which admittedly is going to be easier to pull off.
Good work from Nika and Cubo Fred able to get the kill as a result. First blood goes to the Warriors, and that was the Titans walking in and saying, hey, we're taking this blue buff, but not on Nika's watch. This tier does so much damage and displaces
them falling behind. Again, slowly but surely, there's a little bit with the first blood bounty now, pushing just a little under 1,000 gold in favor of the Warriors. And a good pluck from Neil to start things off again.
Aurora pulled in, but I'm a Monster will not connect. Aurora dashes out, and Neil Ma has to go through the Dharmic Pillars. It is too much damage. Paul able to get that kill with the Taiko drums, but Nika is involved in this fight, way out-rotating Binti, who never left. And Scary D low, Cuvo Fred somehow, none of that flurry connects, doesn't matter. He gets there in the end anyway. They turn that into a 2-for-1 engagement where they lose Neil at the start, but get Aurora and Slayer. If Cyclone Spin's aware, I don't even know if he's in that much danger, though, as the Titans are now grouping up for another red buff invade. Cyclone Spin jumps away, and now these Warriors should have remembered that what happened last time on the red buff, and they're hanging around with Cyclone instead and stuck in this weird pincer maneuver. Odd decision-making from the Oni Warriors top to bottom, and now Vote, caught up in the same thing, tries to use the ultimate to get into the Bifrost, and it will permit his escape. And the Titans not able to get the red, it looks like this time. They instead came over and took that kill quite happily.
Admittedly, kind of like watching a car wreck. Like for us, like you could see the movement of the Titans and slowly but surely the grip on the Warriors closing in. I'd say lucky for the Warriors that it only results in a single kill onto Neil, that Vote still gets out alive. Admittedly, having to use his beads, but now Dardes is so deep, misses the I'm a Monster.
But Paul is low, and Cubo Fred there, and they manage to find a kill. The silence keeps Cubo Fred locked in. He cannot get up to the Tree of Yggdrasil in time. Cyclone Spin finds a kill of his own as they trade jungle for mid lane. Cubo Fred goes down, Paul as well. And Nika using that Lawbringer to escape. Neil Ma does find a dash. Crush cannot connect, and Aurora.
Game takes a while to lose. The team that's been ahead in the first 10 has gone down. And the last, well, I guess 10 for each game, wherever you want to throw that. I also think there was a moment there, Nika, unfortunately not able to get the damage he wants. Now they're going in on Scary D.
They are, and the Fearless, it's been doing it all game, and it continues there. Scary D finds himself looking at the grayscale yet again, a 20-second death timer for him. And Nika and Cubo Fred have been all over the place, and it's not just on the right side of the map. It's been here in mid, and even for invades too, as Neil Ma, off the mark with the pluck, is inside lurking in the waters. No control will pull him back in, so he will escape. But Neil has been up there going for these Hail Mary plays. I don't know if there's any need for it when so far the Titans have responded well. I like the idea Paul didn't have beads, and if he catches him out, sure.
leads that transition to slightly bigger but still small leads. I mean, even here, Neil, like, you get a big pluck, but is there going to be enough follow-up to find anything? It feels slow pace for the Warriors. Now Nika's jumping in.
Yeah. They have been looking for fights, and Aurora, hit by the crush, and Tartarus finds his first kill of the game, though he has been involved in these skirmishes in mid. And Nika, my man, seems unconcerned with that solo title he was given. He's everywhere. Cyclone spins beads, forced out by Neomar, going for a pluck, so Cubo Fred comes in. Desert Fury will dissuade any further aggression. In fact, Cyclone Spin jumps forward, and Neomar now in trouble, especially with Paul coming over the top. And Neomar ends up dropping. The rest of the Oni Warriors completely disengage, and Neil, left in a bad spot, votes Bifrost, takes him back topside, and now he's on the wrong side of the map and have to continue to run. Maybe Nika can buy him some time. He does by getting in and removing the beads from Paul. Vote comes back in, and they force Paul to drop both his relics in response, and Vote should be able to make it out of here. No, Benji has made it onto him with a blink. There's the ultimate, and Vote gets back to the tier 1 as there's all...
Still feels like it's going to take either of them a long time. There's the Dharmic Pillars to get things started for this one, though.
And that does force a disengage from the Warriors early, but Cubo, Fred, and Nika seem like their chances up against Benji, who's about to get real angry, and Cubo Fred forced to escape as Benji literally changes bodies on this right side. Nika moves in with the Fearless, controls him for a bit, but nothing that will result in a kill. Meanwhile, the Titans have now pulled the Fury themselves. Vote nearby, Neomar here as well, but the Fury ahead of Cyclone Spin already has that Ornate Arrow finished. Maybe that's enough for them to feel comfortable starting up this FG, because they sure do. They've got all 4 members on it. On zoning duty is Nika, but in comes Aurora for a chance to contest. Crush already down. I'm a Monster used. He drops it, and the Warriors able to get the Fire Giant confirmation. Medardes has got to run. He's solo, and Aegis the only thing keeping him alive. Meanwhile, Scary D and Benji work together to take the FG off of Vote by putting him down and into the ground. So Cubo Fred got to run, but where could he run to with Scary D re-engaging? The FG call was risky. They get the objective but lose 2 lives in the process, and now a good chance they're going to lose this tier 2 as well, and maybe even Neomar as he gets locked down. A third claimed by the Titans on the backside of that FG.
Yeah, hints of game 1 where, once again, your victory is that the Titans don't have the FG, and they're not going to be able to get one after a very...
Ground there, the Fury completely open as Neomar pushed up beyond it and trying not to let the Titans walk in, but it looks like a collapse is in the cards from the Titans on to Nika, who's a bit alone over here. Now the cavalry arriving as they turn their attention towards Neil, but in comes the Sikkim into Crush. That collects 3, but Neomar still dying too quickly as Scary D finds that one. Nika does collect Cyclone Spin, who has no beads. Cubo Fred there to pick up the baton, but Paul getting aggressive with the Thunder Crash, and Nika removed. The Oni Warriors have bungled this Gold Fury fight, and the Titans happily pick up the pieces.
I mean, it could be a tier 1 if they turn their attention over there, but no, Finch, they're just chasing under the T2. They have damage. Dardez seems to be the target right now. That Sentinel's going to be able to get him out of there. He's safe, but look, you trade one really good pick for another one. Vote going to be using his Aegis, but at this point, yeah, not going to be able to escape too far. Some Phoenix damage is coming through while tier 2s are still up. In fact, tier 1 still exists there in mid. Cyclone with a beautiful 0-5 almost every time he goes for a pluck. It's not resulted in a kill, it's not really been able to bring them much, and more often than not, it's just put him in the wolves' den with the wolves who are very hungry. And I feel like that's about to happen to Cubo if he jumps in here.
Cubo does jump down, but Cyclone Spin leaps the dive from Cubo Fred, and he instantly is sent to the afterlife. Cyclone Spin gets Dardas coming up the objective. Neomar knows it's low, but it looks like the objective still going to stay low. Only person that dies is Cyclone Spin as Nika gets there, but the Titans should get this enhanced Fire Giant. No real way for Nika to make his way in there. The Titans get the biggest objective on the map, and they've got a good chance to lock down Nika here too if they can catch up. Beads even coming out from, because he knows how much in danger he's in. Thunder Crash there, Nika forced to use the dash, but just nothing he can do, even though he gets Paul's beads on the tail end, and with no one up for another 13 seconds except for Vote. Maybe a chance for some structures to finally go down in favor of the left. Wait for this wave to push it in mid, and now Benji and Scary D can dive. Cubo Fred forced to take to the sky with his ultimate as his left side Phoenix down to half. Cyclone Spin jumps away from Cubo Fred's ultimate, cool as you like, and then use those taunts to pull in Neil. The mid Phoenix will fall to the pressure from Benji and Scary. Cyclone Spin gets the kill onto Neil, so left side Phoenix about to fall as well. And they've completely broken open the base here of the Oni Warriors, who won game 1. But that was actually 2. I wonder if it feels like they've got any momentum as Cubo Fred blinks in looking for Paul, who does seem to have reacted with the beads, but gives up nothing else. The right side Phoenix should be in their sights pretty cleanly at this point, with Nika and the boys coming back towards Aurora, coming back towards Scaly D. And that Crush will get at least that one kill as the Titans move on. The minions move on to the actual Titans, and the rest of the Titans have to leave on that right side Phoenix.
This is where they're a little lucky that they haven't had minion waves going through. That was a good fight from some of the pressure over there in left and mid. They have to get this Fire Giant first. Paul, as well as the rest of the Titans, might have something to say about it.
Yeah, the Warriors are going to go for this play, then it absolutely has to come to fruition. They have to get the Fury and get out of here without giving up any lives. Benji being the disruptor. Tycho drums from Paul, and Neomon falls.
No.
Paul gets Cubo Fred. The Warriors do get FG, yes, but 3 members have fallen in the effort. Cyclone's been standing tall, but Nika able to at least get that kill. They need to get rid of Vote, and Benji does the job. Nika comes in looking for Paul, but his Thunder Crash at his feet. It's a double. It's a deicide, and the Tartarus Titans with 30 seconds plus on the shortest timer are taking this set right here and right now.
More archers than one can count on the right-hand side get the Phoenix for him. That Titan's going to go down before they even get there, Finch. That is a clean fight. 8-1 and 11. Look, I think Paul had a really, really stellar game 2, a really stellar game 3, but him, Cyclone, as well as Benji, all 3 of them kind of the pillars, set up so much success at the